Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. Many of us have interesting lines of work, jobs that we do, but for the rest of us, we never know what's involved in that. And we're going to talk with two people today that, in their line of work, support and help people during a very challenging time. I'm referring to two people involved with a wonderful funeral home that is located in New Jersey, and we're going to spend a day in their life and what life is like. And it also will reveal questions that many of us have about the funeral process. Some of us never been through it, never had to deal with it, even the pre-planning of a funeral. Joining us today is Geri Oliverie and also her daughter, who is Dr. Bridget Hennicke-Melton, and it's Oliverie Funeral Homes, which is located in Manchester, New Jersey. Ladies, welcome. How are you?
Good. Good. Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's great to have you here. And I think this is so important that we learn the other side, because there's so many questions, but just even learning what you do on a daily basis kind of reveals some of those questions, give us the answers to them. What's a typical day look like for both of you?
Well, first we have two funeral homes. We do have one in Jackson also.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that. But we live upstairs, so a lot of times the phone's ringing 24 hours, 7 days a week, 300, 20, it's just nonstop. So in the morning, kind of like if we're either awakened with somebody losing someone and they're calling because they need our help, or because we're family owned, people call us for information. But some people don't know we're family owned and they're expecting a recording with prompts, and they'll call me like 11 o'clock at night, one time's 1 o'clock in the morning, and they'll be asking for directions or something like that, and I'll be like, no, you got a live voice, you got me. So we're so used to those prompts, prompt 1 for directions, we don't do that. We answer the phones 24/7. So that's how our day kind of starts out and almost ends. But then we come downstairs and we do a lot of the same thing over and over, especially in the early days when funerals weren't as unique as they are now. So we would start and would always be, take a funeral out, set up for a visitation, clean in between, meet with families, do all the preparations, stuff like that. Hopefully one of us gets a break during the viewing, eat with our family, come back downstairs, finish that, and so forth. It was like Groundhog Day every day, same thing over and over. But now funerals are really unique and different. They're not so cookie cutter. So it's a little bit different. We still meet with people all the time, but now what are we doing? What type of life celebration? How are we making it unique? We meet people now at 8 o'clock at night. They come in because they just don't live close by anymore. So we do a lot of things like that. I don't know. What did you want to add?
Just that growing up, it felt like very repetitive, and I feel like I spent half of my childhood in Lord & Taylor watching her buy black suits.
Quite the collection of, Lord & Taylor black suits of all different varieties, all seasons, about 40 years worth. You can't even get some of these suits anymore, but luckily I'm the same size and I can just go wear them.
Oh, that means a lot. And I want to, you mentioned family owned, and thank you for answering the phone. I don't care what business it is. Drives me crazy through the prompts, and then usually they're not the right prompts, for what you're looking for. But in the funeral world, there are many, many funeral homes nowadays that are owned by corporations. And it's almost like they're swallowing them up. And there's only a few of them, call it 2, 3, whatever. So, and not to say that that's not a good thing in terms of the service, but it speaks volumes when it's family owned, when it's been in the family for many years, and that just attention from one family helping another family. Am I getting this right, that you raised your family?
Yes.
Above the funeral home?
Yeah, for 23, 24 years. Yeah.
Wow.
We've been in this new look. We started in 1987 in Lakehurst, and we built this and opened it in 2001. So Bridget was like 4 or 5.
6 when we moved, I
Yeah.
think.
Michael was an infant and Marissa was like 8.
9 maybe, yeah.
So yeah, for 24 years, they've been in this funeral home. The bus comes in the front, it looks like a great big huge house, but the bottom is the funeral home and we live upstairs. So, but yeah, it looks like a really nice McMansion. So the bus driver would come right up front, and sometimes it was, a bit of a problem. She'd have to go to the back because the hearses are up front. We're pulling funerals out, and she'd come in, or she'd come to drop people off. There's no room. There's cars because people are coming in for visiting. But it was fun. The bus driver, she was thought like, this is not really where I want to be. I'm almost done. Bridget's, X amount of years. And then all of a sudden, the little guy who's like 5.5 years younger than the middle one, Bridget, gets on the bus. And she was like, oh no, I got to keep coming here for another 8 years. We're like, yeah.
Wow. I feel like this is like a reality show.
Yeah,
you probably could have one. You might want to pitch it. I'm wondering what that was like though. So you have your family upstairs, at one point, teenagers, they're watching TV, you got friends over. And
yeah.
Now what do you, quiet. We have a funeral going on downstairs. Quiet.
Yeah, on the intercom all the time. Sit down. Don't move.
Yeah.
Priest has started. Stop jumping. You two stop fighting. It's crazy stuff. Everybody in your own rooms now.
Yeah, it was definitely mayhem. We would sometimes have them just like call up on the intercom, be like, sit down now. But we would just be like, 2 teenage girls like just yelling at each other. And my brother was significantly younger. So he was still like 10, like jumping around in his underwear, going couch to couch.
Yeah.
And I feel really guilty because I feel like everyone can hear
But
us.
you were doing what you were supposed to do as kids, but you are above a funeral home. And listen, guys, if you want 9 p.m. on, do whatever you want after visitation hours.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But I put them to work. I made them work. Like when they were old enough, they would laminate cards. I mean, when Marissa was old enough, she was doing my bathrooms, and people would comment all the time, your bathrooms are so clean. I'll be like, I'll tell my daughter.
Yeah. We did the cleaners. We did
Garbage,
prayer cards.
Yeah. If you reset the chairs, remember you had to reset up the chairs, just stuff like that. I mean, I was like, you got to do it. And then not the girls so much, but when Michael got his driver's license, then he had to help, transfer. And hence today he's in the Navy instead of doing this. He's like, I'll never do that again.
I'm just getting a visual here. So let's say it's your son and he meets a girl and, hey, you want to, come back to my house, my mom, you can meet my family and everything. And you give the address and then she, texts, well, that's the address for a funeral home. Yeah. Come on over. Wow.
That's new though. We were so popular. That everyone knew. Everyone knew. So, like Michael's friends, they come late and they'll do 24-hour anime, all watching.
Sure.
Bridget's friends, they would come, but mostly Bridget would go to their home. She was like, I don't want them here. Marissa, her friends love to come here, and I'm like Jer Bear to them, and I'm like part of the clique,
Most people knew because it's, like we all went to schools with everyone in the area. So everyone was like, oh yeah, the Hennickes live above the funeral home. It was like not a big deal. But recently I actually I can't even remember. It must have been a friend from college. And I gave her the address and she was like, no, this is a funeral home. And I was like, oh my God, you don't know. Like, yeah, I live above a funeral home. Like, I'm so used to not having to tell people because everybody knows.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even DoorDash can't get it right.
There's a unique one there. They probably think there's a service going on and somebody's ordering Starbucks.
Yeah, right.
Right. I want to go back to, for you, Geri, how did this journey all begin?
So for me, it started when I was really, really young. I had my grandmother pass away when I was 5. And back then, Italian funerals were like for 3 days, not for children under a certain age, blah, blah, blah. So I went to my father's side, my aunt on my father's side, because it was my mother's mother who passed. And I have one aunt with 12 kids that lived by me. So, I was my opportunity to hang with them and do whatever. That was just one aunt. I had many cousins. And I didn't get to go. And then when everything was over, they're all talking about, who did this and had fun. Because back then it was the basement, the smoking, the kids running around, hanging together, 3 whole days. I'm like, what party did I miss, So to me, I thought I wanted to be an event planner. I was like, I want to be a funeral director. That's cool. Everybody had fun but me.
In a way, you are planning events.
Yeah.
The same type of event. But nowadays, as you said before, funerals are different.
They're different.
Yeah, it's very custom. Being in the community for many years, do you have close ties with the community?
Yeah, I really do have very close ties to the community, like with just the senior community people who ask me to do things, the mayor in town. I do Veterans Day for them. I run that whole program. I do their 9/11 anniversary programs for them at Town Hall. We do butterfly releases.
Rotary Club.
Yep. Member of
Kids.
Rotary Club forever. President still for many years. Right. Kevin's Kids, that's a local. That's where the Christmas presents go to the identified kids through school and families that don't get a Christmas. OGR, that's the Order of the Golden Rule. That gets you very involved in your community and stuff like that. So
you host a blood drive.
Yeah, blood drives, flu clinics. We kind of do a lot. We do blood drive. We do paper shredding events. We do a lot. We stay very active.
You kind of want people to see you as more than just a funeral home, though, especially when you're like a friendly face like Geri's. You don't want to just be like the death lady, because I only see Geri when my parent dies or something. So if you have all these other community events and people get to know you and your whole family, they view you in a much more positive light, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, so one of the things we do is the Children's Memorial Garden. So again, all of that was young people and stuff. And my daughter had donations go there for her Sweet 16, and we have plaques there. So people kind of know who we are. It's nice. I enjoy it. I enjoy like going to ShopRite. And sometimes I have to go very late at night, because if I don't, people will stop you in every aisle. Oh, Geri. Oh, Geri. And even church, I'm very active in church. I'm a Eucharistic minister. I read and stuff like that. And then they want to talk to you during church. You're trying to get out and you can't, My kids used to hate it. They used to wait in the car like, Mom's still talking.
Yeah, it's like going to church with your grandma.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing, because you support the community, again, at a time where people are in a challenge. There's a lot of emotions running there, and you are the person that somebody turns to, both of you. I want to know, what is the most unusual thing that somebody has asked for with a funeral service? Anything that stands out?
No, because nothing is really ever too unusual. I mean, mostly it's because they want to personalize stuff, right? Can we put booze in there, as long as it's not a cremation? Yeah. Can we put bullets? Again, as long as it's not a cremation, because things will explode. So we have to be careful. That fireworks, stuff like that.
Didn't somebody want to be open with like their thumbs up or high five?
I did have someone who wanted to be laid out on his side, but he didn't want to have anything but his underwear. We're like, no, we're gonna, we'll put you on your side. That's fine, but you got to be in a blanket or something. We're not. You have to have some respect for the people who are visiting you. Otherwise, just close it, right?
Sure. And by the way, there's no judgment here. This is what anybody wants. As long as it's legal.
I always say it has to be legal also.
Right.
When people say I'm like, it has to be legal. And you forget, I have an ethical clause in my license and a moral clause. So if something offends somebody when they come here, they can report me to my state board and I have to answer to them. So there's that fine line. What you want, is it moral? Is it ethical?
Sure.
So we compromise sometimes, but mostly they want to personalize,
20-something years doing what you're doing. How has the funeral industry changed?
Well, mostly from that cookie cutter funeral to people with less religion, more cremation and the different options with cremation. It used to be you just took those cremains, you're supposed to bury them, but people took them home. Now they're made into stone. People have walking sticks. They're in a coral reef, jewelry, fingerprints, tattoos.
Wow.
So it's really, the personalization has really come alive with either burial or, because even headstones are different now and have pictures, and you can put things on them that you can push and or scan a QR code and get the whole person's life and pictures and stuff like that. So it's changed a lot.
And another huge change would be that New Jersey in the past few years made it legal for funeral homes to sell food as long as it's separate from the funeral home. So we also have a banquet facility called the Wisteria that's attached to the funeral home in Jackson. And that's changed it a lot because now we have a full, I mean, it looks like a little ballroom and seats about 100.
Yeah, seats about 110. And so this way, when people say, oh, I just want a cremation, we say, well, do you want a gathering? And then you can have a video, because we do all these videos and unique things. Would you like to have that here? You know, where it's just us and you. You're not competing with somebody in a restaurant in a waitress's time, right? It's BYOB, so it makes it less expensive. And our videos aren't just, here's a link, put pictures and music in. We actually take pictures, information you give us about we get details about your loved one, and then we immerse you into their life. We will find logos and different articles, different things that we will add to the video about your loved one, maybe their work or anything they did or hobbies or anything we can find. If they had a certain car, like a 19-something Ford or Corvette or whatever, we'll find it and we'll put it in there. You know, it's really interactive. So it's definitely changed a lot. It's definitely focusing on how personal can we get so you feel like it's all about that loved one, right?
That food facility, is that yours, or it's just next to a place that does catering?
No, it's all attached. I built everything, the whole thing. It's 19,000 square feet, funeral home, a cafe, and a restaurant.
It's fantastic because when you think about it, you know, you have the let's say the 2 to 4, and then a lot of times, visitation. Then, the family's going to leave. Where do you want to go? I don't know. What do you want to get? I don't know. Where do you want to go? Got to make sure we get done, make sure we get back in time. And now it's all cohesive. It's all connected. Wonderful.
Right. And they don't have to go back to the house. Someone's got to leave early to set up. Someone's got to stay late to clean up. No parking, This way, it's everything's right there, and you just kind of walk through and walk back. Some people, they walk in shifts sometimes back there and back, which is great. They go there, then they come back. It's good. You can, if you're hanging a little, then you can talk to the family, maybe a little more private, whatever. So it's nice. If it's an urn, we bring all of that back there if it ends. So if you have a memorial gathering and it ends and we take you back there, we bring everything, the flowers, the pictures, the video back on the wall. We set the whole thing up again ×2,
Amazing.
And then they have all the food and everything there. And, they're there for about 3.5 hours. So it's nice before they get back on the road.
The way you conduct services, that it's not, best description I have, got to be honest, not depressing. We're talking about a celebration of somebody's life as opposed to somebody's passing. Yes, it's a part of life, but it's more of just, those memories that are there that, they're always going to be there. And it seems like that's what it's about, sharing those memories.
Yeah. Hopefully they just don't remember when my son came down, in his Hulk hands. Hi, can it work? No, get back upstairs.
When it comes to cremation, let's talk about that for just a sec. I believe there's a misconception where people think that there's no service involved. We're just going to do the cremation. But yeah, it can be attached to a service. You can do basically whatever type of service you want, right?
Yeah, so we educate them on that. When they say we want a cremation, I don't jump and say, oh, direct cremation. I say, okay, do you want to gather with that cremation before the cremation? Because then, we can use a rental casket, right? Do you want it to have the cremation first and then gather with the cremains? Then we can do that. Or do you want a cremation and we're going to a veterans cemetery and we're going to have the gathering there and do something nice in the chapel there? So I give them like all these options so they don't go, oh, we didn't know. You know, by the time so when they talk to me on the phone, I give them options. So when they come in, they've talked about it more and they're like, we could do this, she mentioned, we should think of what do we want to do? And then they have some answers when they come in.
What do you want people to know about funerals?
They're necessary. And not only are they necessary, I don't think they're an evil thing. I think they're necessary, and it's to celebrate a life and to be joyful, because you are a thread for the amount of years that you live in a quilt that touches many people's lives. And your quilt is finished when you die, and it's a beautiful quilt, but you don't know who you touched until your funeral, because it's not by an invite. You don't say, oh, we're having a funeral this day, this time, send an invite, call people. If you put it out in the public, whether it's in the newspaper or on my website or your social media, whoever knows that person is going to come, whether they know the people who are surviving or the people who died. And so there's no limit to the number of people. And like, I've had people come and say, I haven't seen my neighbor in 40 years when we moved. I can't believe they're here. And I'll be like, it must have been important for them to come. Something your dad said or did or helped them was important enough to make for them to show up today. Can't do that with a wedding.
No. And the quilt is a great analogy and visual, because a lot of times when grandma makes her quilt, every section of the quilt can be a little bit different. There's a different pattern here, a different pattern here, which in this instance would represent who you touched, different part of your life, within that quilt. Wow. Bridget, are you a funeral director?
No, I'm not. I'm an OBGYN.
Oh,
I'm just here.
Wait a minute. Look what we got going on. It's almost like the beginning of life, the end of life.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I know. When I picked my specialty, I was like, wow, the full circle is complete.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I didn't expect that. Interesting. But
no, I helped out a lot when, just because family owned, we didn't really have a choice. So, I'm always here for her, and she bounces ideas off me because I'll be really honest and I'll judge her if I think something's crummy.
Wow.
My other daughter is a licensed funeral director, though, Marissa. Michael is a lieutenant in the Navy, but Marissa has 2 licenses. Mine, a funeral director, but she also has her own business. She's a licensed professional counselor. So she does that all the time, full time with employees. So she promises me she'll come back when her children are older. She'll be like, yeah, when you retire, I'll come back and do it.
Wow. Just about out of time. Fascinating. A day in the life of a funeral director. This is the side that we don't see. And it's a human side, a caring side, informational side. Fantastic talking with you both. What are the 2 locations again? Manchester
and Jackson.
And a website, can you share?
Yep, that's, the usual www.oliveriefuneralhome.com.
And that's spelled Oliverie, correct?
Correct.
Very cool. When's the show going to be on Bravo?
Yeah, I don't know. It should be.
I'm waiting.
Help us promote it. We'll do it.
I'm working. No, I'm being very serious about that. I don't think it's ever been done. And there's just, all the pieces are there. You're living on top of the funeral home, the family dynamics and all of that. Bridget and Geri, great talking with you today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these 2 things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.